Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to be talking about the spell Thunderous Smite. Whoa. All right. Well, it's another smite spell.
It's another smite spell.
You don't sound too enthusiastic.
No, I'm not.
All right. What
Oh,
does this one do?
okay.
You had some words to begin with?
I'll say what it does first, and then I'll say a nice thing,
Yeah.
because I normally don't say nice things about these spells. So this is a bonus action. It takes your concentration for up to a minute, but it doesn't really last at all that long, because what happens is the next time you hit with a melee weapon, after you cast it, it does a bonus 2d6 thunder damage, and you make a big boom that things within 300 feet can hear of you. Additionally, if the target is a creature, it makes a strength save or is pushed 10 feet from you and then knocked prone. So here's the nice things I'll say. I haven't really mentioned at all that you can stack this with regular Divine Smite. So you could do conceivably something where you bonus action Thunderous Smite, then hit something and also Divine Smite it. If you absolutely positively want to kill something right now with super damage, that is a thing you could do. Most of the time, I think you're better off staggering them and smiting whenever you know you're critting, whenever you get to lower and lower spell slots. But it's a thing that is a merit that I can say to Thunderous Smite is it can be done in addition to. Often you don't need that overkill resource, but sure, I'll mention it. The other thing I will say is that knocking something prone as a paladin is something you will value once you're making more than one attack around. So for that reason, Thunderous Smite is quite bad levels 1 through 4, and at level 5, it's fine. It's not great, but it is something you'll sometimes want.
All right. Now, yeah, knocking something prone is one thing. But pushing it 10 feet, that means you just gotta walk more.
Yeah, basically what happens is like the play pattern is you go up to it, you hopefully haven't used all of your movement to do that, then you Thunderous Smite it, and then you chase it 10 feet and hit it on the ground. Because like that's how you get advantage in your attack rolls from knocking it prone is by running it down. This isn't something that really helps you all that much if you're running away, because if you knock it 10 feet away and knock it prone, it uses 15 to get up, and then it runs at you. And then it dashes. So like
You're
you're
a
not getting
paladin, you're
away.
not running away.
Right. So this is definitely a chasing something down kind of deal. I wish the push was optional. Because while it's nice to be able to have a push on an effect, they'd be like, I'm gonna shove you off this cliff, I'm gonna shove you off this boat, I'm gonna shove you off of whatever.
Or into this prismatic wall, or
Sure.
into
Into a
blade
meat grinder.
barrier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Into any of the druid spells we've talked about before that are giant area of damages, into the cloud of daggers. There's a myriad of them. I do really wish it was optional still. I wish it was you may have that creature be pushed away from you and knocked prone. So you kind of like, or word it in such a way that you could pick one or both. But as it is, it's not the end of the world. It's just a slight nuisance. If you had to move 30 feet and then hit it, and then you can't get to it to hit it again, which feels really bad. Don't do that if that's the case. Just, yeah, regular smite at that point. What's your impression of this one, Bob? I think this is one of the better smite spells because the effect it gives you is like a pretty high utility option. What's your insight on it?
I don't know. Like if you're in this situation, if you're a paladin in the situation where you've got your foe is within 10 feet of a dangerous thing, then sure. Otherwise, yeah.
I run into the concern, right? The prone condition means their advantage on melee weapon attacks against it.
Yeah, I keep forgetting the prone. I'm just thinking about the push. Go
Mm-hmm.
on about the prone though. Yes.
The issue with that is ranged weapon attacks are made a disadvantage against prone targets. So if you're a paladin with a supporting cast of ranged characters, the prone more often than not is hurting you. Like if they go in between you and it, and you only have one attack around, you knocking it prone is probably to its benefit, because then it just stands up, runs back at you, and keeps hitting you. And then it possibly impose disadvantage on some of your own allies' ranged attacks against it. Like if your rogue was laying into it too with a short bow from 45 feet away, all of a sudden now it's making that attack with disadvantage because you Thunderous Smited it, which ends up being like net negative in the low tiers. Now, if you have like a monk or something, it's way better, obviously. If you have a rogue that's using stabby daggers up in the front with you, it's still good then at low tiers.
Yeah.
But there will be some party compositions where the Thunderous Smite, like if it comes in this awkward window where if the creature in initiative goes immediately after you, it just stands up and had no effect. If it goes immediately before you, every creature in initiative order gets to interact with that prone condition, and it ends up being this really feast or famine kind of condition that's just wildly inconsistent. And again, some parties it'll be actively harmful because there won't be a time when you want them to be prone because you've got ranged allies.
Well, that's something going
Yeah.
into it.
That's something you're. Yes, I will say that there are often going to be times where people aren't necessarily. I'm guilty of this. Thinking about what the rest of my party is doing before I take a spell, right? I'm not necessarily worried about how my fighter, how my monk, how my wizard, how my cleric are playing whenever I'm preparing my paladin spells. So Thunderous Smite, if you're the kind of person that's like, oh, this sounds cool, I like the prone condition, it seems good for me. If you take it, use it, and then like everyone in the party gets mad at you because why would you do that? None of us can hit it. That's going to be a feels bad moment that annoys me, but I think that is not the end of the world. It's just a little nuisance that the spell kind of throws into the wrenches. And like my big problem again, like I have with all the smite spells, is this is competing with regular divine smite, which is just it's consistent. It has upside against specific creatures. It does more damage than this. It doesn't like make you do it preemptively. It doesn't have the weird little you can't use it and then hit it again if I move 30 feet bit. It doesn't have the problem with ranged allies. It doesn't have the problem with initiative order. It just does the thing when you want it to do the thing, and I like consistency.
Yeah, I don't get the smite spells. I mean, just like your paladin, your half caster, you've got this wealth of smite spells that hardly any of them compared to your divine smite ability. Just give me a little something extra. Give me just this spell is divine smite plus this, plus that, plus an effect, and those can be your spells.
I really think they needed to bake Divine Smite as its own spell the paladins always knew, because them being able to stack makes it so it's really hard to make this better than it is. Because if it is better, well, you just do it and Divine Smite, and you're doing like, even more amounts of unfair damage at once, with like next to no downside, and then you will have the option to burn extra to make these burn brighter. That can be wild, like being able to push out for a level 3, being able to push out 2d6 plus 2d8 damage on a single hit as a paladin. Like, there's a reason people are like, my paladins kill everything, I don't know how to handle it. It's because they walk up to something and burn all their resources and nova the shit out of it, and it's dead. Yeah. At the same time, if you're playing long-term scope, 4 or 5, or even 2-3 encounters per long rest, or even encounters just against more than 3 creatures, you can't do that because you'll run out of resources immediately and only have managed a small portion of one encounter for all of your resources. It can often be more advantageous to space them out. I don't know. I think there needs to be some heavy changes to the smites. I hope there are in D&D 1. I'm skeptical that's going to happen, but I'm hopeful in that. Well, I'm skeptical that it will happen. I hope that it will happen. As it is now, this is something that is going to be really iffy at level 1 through 4. You have to have a very specific party composition for this to be good at levels 1 through 4, and it can be disastrous if otherwise, so I would not recommend taking it then. Past level 5, being able to Thunderous Smite something, run up to it, and then kick it while it's down with an advantage on attack roll can lead to more crits, and Paladins love critting because they double their Divine Smite damage. So, like, the play pattern of running up, Thunderous Smiting something, running over, and attacking it with rolling 2 dice, you're way more likely to crit. If you do crit, you just sink 1 billion damage into something. Like, it's pretty good there. I would say probably a 3 in that instance.
Now you have I think you have your ear to the ground more than I do as far as 1D&D goes.
Marshall.
Well, no, forget 1D&D. As far as people's perceptions of smite spells go, what are you in the minority opinion here, or?
So I don't think so, but they don't get talked about a lot. Most of the time when people complain about Paladin, it's a lot of complaining about Divine Smite. It's a lot of complaining about all of the features coalescing at once. So, like, independently, all the smites are quite bad, I think. I don't think that's a minority opinion. I think most people are kind of under the understanding, like, oh yeah, Searing Smite, this is not close to the right amount of damage. Thunder Smite is closer to the right amount of damage. And I would say Thunder Smite is doing the amount of damage it should be doing for the effect it's giving you. It's just got a lot of hiccups that come along with it. I think that the problems that people end up complaining about with Paladin, the largest amount of discourse, is around huge bursts of damage that just come out of nowhere at really low levels because of how you can just stack all of your abilities into one single attack and just decimate something, alongside having full armor and regular weapon attacks that do more stuff and all the other things the paladins could do. And at tables, which again, this is most tables, are doing 1 to 2 encounters per long rest, it can feel like you don't do anything while your paladin uses all their features at once, right? If you're stretched to figure out how to use your 5 spell slots as a level 3 wizard, and your opponent or your paladin is like, I have no problem using all my resources this fight, they're all gone. In a 2 or 3 round encounter, like, yeah, it's gonna feel really bad, and that's what the smites do alongside Divine Smite.
All right. Yeah, you got a rating for this one?
I think this is a 3. I think in the lower tiers, it's probably a 2. There will still be tables that like it, but for the most part, once you get to like 5th level plus, this is a entirely serviceable smite spell to prepare. It's one of the few I'd recommend.
Yeah, I guess knocking people prone. I mean, all right, there's the ability to knock people into dangerous stuff, but knocking people prone. Yeah, again, if you're with a party of range shooters, whatever. But they can pull out a dagger.
They can shoot other things.
Or shoot other things. Yeah, I'll agree with you. What did you say, 3?
Yeah, I think this is a 3.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Cool.
All right, that was Thunderous Smite. Boom. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Sam. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.